And then we got 2 million, broke the record, 3 million, broke the record, 4 million, broke the record. Yes, oh my God.
That's Hayden Hillier-Smith, the editor who took Logan Paul's raw footage and turned it into 5 billion views, to the point where even Logan told him,
Hayden, I 100% trust you. Do whatever the hell you want.
so how does Hayden keep us watching for longer, even as our attention spans get shorter?
Oh my God. This is one of the greatest moments of my life.
In this interview, Hayden shares his best tips to improve your videos, whether you know how to edit or not.
If you hit all 3 of those things, that will make me want to keep on watching.
I'm John Youshaei, and welcome to another episode of Created.
You're very good at what you do.
Hayden, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We've had dinners and get-togethers, but I'm excited to have a conversation on the record and just go into some of the things that people don't normally talk about with you.
Yeah.
Obviously, like with Logan and like you've had editing so many of his videos, I think people don't realize how much you had to do with the billions of views that he's gotten. Can you take us through how you met and then also how you guys uploaded 443 videos in 476 days?
433 videos? That's the number?
Yeah.
I still can't comprehend that. There was this very interesting experience where I had a job with a Facebook video company and I didn't like the experiences and creative experiences they were giving me. And so I went, hey boss, go fuck yourself. And I ended up getting rightfully so fired because of it.
Yeah.
And so word went round about the kid who told that guy to go fuck himself. And then Logan heard that story and went, that's the kid I want.
Oh my God.
But the logic with him and his perspective is he started doing the daily vlogs. That was a content trend at that time. So Logan went, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I can't film all day and edit all night. I will be a broken man. And so he came up with the idea that, well, if I film in Los Angeles on East Coast.
Yeah.
East Coast.
West
Coast.
Coast. Yeah.
Do you not think never eat shredded
Soggy
wheat?
waffles.
No, I go never eat shredded wheat.
So soggy waffles guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
for me, it's still on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And then so he filmed on the West Coast, and as he then uploads at 11 p.m. and then starts uploading onto Google Drive, I then wake up in the UK and there's footage just magically on my computer. I then go, all right, let's see what we got. I do what I need to do over the course of that day. And then 8 hours later, he wakes up, 8 a.m. Hey, Hayden, how's the video? Well, here it is. And off he went. And so what that meant is it became this a beautiful efficiency.
Yeah.
He gets what he needs to do that day. I sends me the footage. I just continue working, and then there's just constant conveyor belt of momentum.
That's amazing. How many hours of footage would he send to you? Because then in those days, the daily vlog days, those videos were like 10, 15 minutes long, right?
Yeah.
How many hours would you consolidate into that as editor?
Since Logan was a really already efficient filmmaker and
Yeah.
storyteller himself, he didn't have to overshoot.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough that it was on average an hour to maybe max 2 hours a day
Really?
of footage.
Huh.
With most creators, they don't know what the story is, and so they do overshoot, and then that becomes the difficult experience for the editor.
Did you give direction in the footage? Like, what do you say? Like, cut this, cut that, or would it just be a total like photo or video dump of what was happening that day?
So initially, yes, because for me, whereas Logan is from Ohio, where the culture is very masculine and like very like aggressive football and like painting fences and chopping woods and talking about what The Rock did at WWE that evening. Whereas for me, I'm from an upper class neighborhood in London who grew up watching Monty Python, and that's why I think his content, compared to all of the other daily vloggers at that time, his stood out because of the different perspective that I was giving in the editing.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting? In prepping for this interview and since getting to know you, I've gone back and watched Logan's vlogs and I see your fingerprints all over it.
You see that British humor?
Yeah, I see
the British
it, yeah.
humor in an Ohio boy? Like, it doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there an example of that comes to mind that you made an edit that didn't happen in the moment, or you elevated a moment that maybe was mundane during those daily vlog days?
During the first couple of videos, and I would then bring in the American anthem and put the American flag behind him with this very not particularly deep quote. So for me, that was a self-deprecation. Here's something that's not particularly as deep as you think it is, and I've made it the most over-the-top exaggeration possible.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like you're adding punctuation to it, or irony.
Yeah,
that didn't
irony
exist.
towards it, yeah.
What was his reaction? Like, I'm curious. I'm asking these questions also for creators working with editors, like negotiating voice and style to find the unique vlogs that we saw and the videos that we see. Like, how did you respond to you doing that?
I think if I remember correctly, initially apprehensive, but then, as I said, I think he was seeing the results, and then he went, "Okay, Hayden, I 100% trust you. Do whatever the hell you want, and then we're gonna see what happens."
Tell me, like, you know, coming from YouTube and Instagram, whenever we would bring on people, we'd have a style guide that we'd give them, like a brand book. Did you develop that with Logan, like sound effects or like fonts, or like take me through, like, you know, are there things that you're like, you know, I'm gonna reuse these. I might as well make it easy. That if a creator is listening, they should provide to editors, or if an editor is working and trying to make their way in the creator con, they should develop for themselves or their clients.
One of my favorite things that I did that was unique is, do you know about leitmotifs?
No, tell me.
So there's a theme tune. So there's Star Wars, which is that theme tune as they do the opening crawls.
Yeah.
But then as Darth Vader comes out, and then we hear the Darth Vader theme, that's a leitmotif. That is the character's theme tune. And so Logan did do repeatable content. So it would be like having a goofy fight with his roommate Evan, or he would be doing a particular type of action. This was also me following the philosophy of meme culture as well. And so at that time, memes were at like the peak of popularity and the peak of it having this kind of breakups. And so I think, and the best example would be, I would like to believe I was one of the first few adopters of the SpongeBob time cards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
like one eternity later.
The one eternity later, like few moments later, those ones were very popular at that time. I believe I was one of the first few to adopt those. That was another meme thing. And so the library of the assets was also constantly rolling. What was the meme culture?
How did you keep up that pace? I know they say like YouTube's like a marathon, not a sprint. You ran an ultra marathon.
My initial attitude with him is he's the in-between job. 6 months later, he's a creator who reached 1 million subscribers like fastest ever. And I went, wait a minute, something's going on here. And then we continued, and then we got 2 million. It like broke the record. 3 million broke the record. 4 million broke the record. I'm like, those milestones that happened so quickly then became okay, we broke this record. How quickly can we break the next? And then it ended up being 7 years. It was, I think, just the momentum that we generated was addictive. And the cultural impacts. For me, because I lived in London, I like to edit in like coffee shops and just like coffee shop hop.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm in a coffee shop and I see someone wearing Maverick merch and they had no idea that right next to them was the next Logan Paul vlog being made. And I'm like they're like opposite me on a table, and I'm like, you have no idea. And so even those moments were like really beautiful for me. I enjoyed being invisible in a massive cultural impact. In the same way where Casey Neistat was the massive cultural impact that really introduced everyone to daily vlogging. I really felt like, and I think the results also say that, Logan was also the next wave of that daily vlogging content. I've always wanted that idea and loved the idea of being what would be the biggest cultural movement on YouTube for a time period. And so the fact that I finally had the privilege to be part of that momentum and part of that movement, I was like, I want to keep riding this wave as long as I can.
Wait, that's so interesting. I feel like editors, like especially ones who have had the impact that you've had, would want to be more visible, not invisible. You didn't feel that at all? Like you're sitting in that coffee shop, I want people to know that I edited that vlog, like I had my fingerprints on, I had this meme, like that didn't cross your mind at any point?
Great question. I think it is at the time, you say that in the context of today.
Yeah.
Where I think where editors are celebrated. Editors are like, wow, like this is a great video. I want to know how the editor did this. Yeah. And that is a context today. Whereas at the time, there were still creators being cancelled because they admitted they had an editor. There were creators who or like, hey, I don't edit my videos, and then audiences will be upset because it's like, wait, so you're no longer making your videos? Screw you. And I think the normalcy didn't exist then.
So Hayden, you guys are riding high and you're getting millions of views. Then take me through what led to this moment.
I will say this is one of the greatest moments of my career. So Despite how well me and Logan have had great creative experiences, doesn't mean that we've not had disagreements. Of course we've had disagreements.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Let me just rewatch it. It never gets old, so I need to keep seeing it. I wanted to be able to show off how much I have been working out, and then also that very unhealthy moment of here's how I feel about our tough moments.
What were those tough moments or biggest disagreements that you just mentioned?
As I mentioned earlier, since we do have different cultural backgrounds where like I would try to do a Monty Python sketch and an Ohio boy vlog.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And we have those disagreements. Part of it, I hadn't quite understood professionalism of you're working for someone and you're making their content. And so despite you being passionate about this cut happening, you have to relent and let them have the cut that they want. I hadn't learned that yet, and so I put up unprofessional fights, which had caused escalations.
We'll get right back to the video, but real quick, I want to thank today's sponsor, Licked. When I worked at YouTube, one of the biggest requests we got by far from creators was being able to use popular music in YouTube videos without being demonetized. And now with Licked, you could do just that, which is a lifesaver now that I'm a creator myself. Licked is a platform that allows creators to license high quality mainstream music in your videos without worrying about copyright strikes or demonetization. And I'm talking about big time artists like Bruno Mars, Lizzo, Charlie Puth. And if pop music isn't your thing, don't worry, because Licked has over 1 million songs from all sorts of different artists to choose from. And they have over 100,000 stock tracks, so you can easily find what you need for your videos. You can even search by Spotify popularity, mood, genre, or check out the curated playlist. Just visit my link below to sign up. And best of all, you'll get 14 days free of stock music and 50% off your first mainstream track. All right, now back to the video.
I feel like during lockdown, like I started to see your voice and your fingerprints like come even more to life in your editing style. Can you talk about like how you shifted things from these longer daily videos to those bite-sized like 4-minute, like 5-minute like videos that move fast, but I thought like had so much personality in them?
Honestly, the biggest thing was Logan knew that in the context of his career, he had lost to KSI. Also in the context of having the traumatic experience that that him and the culture had experienced as well. He was at a high risk of relevancy. And so he knew he had to step up. And so he became an incredible boss in terms of Hayden. It's game time. We have the experience. We know how to make better, more mature content now. It's game time. And so he encouraged me. He pushed me. He told me and taught me the risk of complacency. Whereas, okay, I know what to do. I'll just do this. And Logan went, that's not good enough. Do it again. I give him something else. Went, that's not good enough. Do it again. I give him something new. That's not good enough. Do it again. There's a reason why it was only 3 vlogs a week, because we're spending 3 days on each one. And then that was like that breakthrough moment where suddenly I understood his humor. I understood my humor in editing a lot more as well. And the vlogs became this incredible smooth sail experience for both of us.
It reminds me of something you mentioned when we were having dinner. And I also think it speaks to, first of all, like I think this renaissance and you having more breathing room aren't a coincidence.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I think people who are maybe like trying to upload very frequently, sometimes are letting a lot of creativity like sit on the table.
Yeah.
Where this Eureka moment happened, where it sounds like you're uploading less frequently.
I mean, Eureka moments don't happen organically. You have to make the circumstances for it to happen.
You're seeing so much of it. Would you also give ideas like, hey, tomorrow shoot this, here's an idea? Or was it just getting the footage and then making the most of it?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, for him, it was, they would only film half a vlog and then film the second half that day.
Yeah.
And then that created opportunities for really cheeky transitions. One of my favorite ones always has been, one of my favorite match cuts ever was when they were brainstorming the topic. And so they opened up a dictionary and went, all right, let's find an idea. Accordion. And they went, yeah, if we get an accordion, this would be great. And I noticed the framing of that and his body posture. And I went, that's a really, really great setup. And then I sent him that screenshot and said, we need a payoff here. We need you to then have a match cut with the exact same pose and the exact same framing and saying, this is great. And then the camera pulls out to reveal someone with an accordion. And it was because we had the privilege of half the vlog being filmed the first day and then the rest of it being filmed the second day. It then meant I could make those types of connections. And so for me, that was one of my favorite type of match cuts. But that was an idea that I pitched to him, and an hour later I got that.
Yeah. Breathing room breeds creativity. That's another thing you mentioned is that moment of change for the viewer.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Like you gave like people like during lockdown a bit of levity. How do you think about that in terms of your edits? Like taking somebody from point A to point B, like what does that mean to you as you now edit videos?
So during that time period was when I really started to think about that philosophy.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. If you had a bad day, let me give you a couple laughs, and so you end the video having changed. And then when I said that for the first time in my head, I went, that's it. You need to start here, no matter where you are emotionally or where you are as a person. And then I as an editor have to find a way to bring you to this emotional feeling.
How do you define point B?
Point B.
Is it after you watch the footage? Is it like after you've had a talk with the creator? Like how do you figure out where you are? It makes sense, but like how do you figure out where you want to take it and figure out that endpoint as you're working through the edit?
do go for an entire context. Let's just say in most content now, it can be 5 to 10 hours of footage.
Yeah.
I go through that entire very, very long story. And so I make a note of where I begin, and then I make a note of where I am at the end. And then for me, so this is a story that I had. How can I tell this in the most efficient way possible? And so it very is circumstantial. It does depend on the story. And so Logan can start a story great, happy, and at the end, he can have a very miserable end. And so that doesn't mean I have to make it happy. It's like, no, I have to respect what the footage gives me.
You've dropped so many gems about how to make a better video, both psychologically and tactically.
Yeah.
What are the 3 principles that make for a good edit, whether you're new or skilled at the trade?
So for me, if your cut has emotion, story, and rhythm, that's a good cut. And so what that can mean is the risk is if your cut has emotion and story, but then no sense of rhythm, it's a bad cut.
Now, but just so people know, cut, you're saying from one scene of a video to another, right?
Not scene, every single cut.
Frame.
I'd even say down to the frame. If you're not catering towards emotion, story, and rhythm, and not keeping that in mind on every single frame, you're not making a good video. So story, I think, is one of the more harder ones, because most story is, today I'm going to be doing this, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. That's not a good story.
Yeah.
It is, here's probably be one of my favorite examples, actually. So tell me how my day was. So ask me how my day was.
Yeah, how's your day?
My day sucked. I woke up late, and as I tried to drive over here, I got a flat tire, and then my phone died, and then I couldn't get a mechanic to help my car. But it's not really that interesting. But a really, really good visual storytelling that you can try to think of would be this. So ask me that same question again.
How's your day?
For me, says so much more.
Wow.
And so story, I think, is one of the more harder things to get right. But the more subtle that you can be with story says a million more words.
It's like that quote you were telling me about. Maybe it was Hemingway?
So Ernest Hemingway.
What's the quote?
Ernest Hemingway, he said, the story that he wrote was one of the shortest stories ever. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. You go from this like for sale, okay, what's for sale? Baby shoes, oh, that's kind of cute. Never worn, oh. And those two words in each of those sentences says so much about everything. And then you literally go through that journey. For sale, baby shoes never worn. And so you start off curious, and then you end sad in just 6 words.
Yeah.
And so that's why it is that is the best example of less is more.
Yeah, and going from point A to B again.
Literally, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, another Haydenism. I love it. I love it. Take me through, I'm so proud of you, Hayden, as you're coming into your own, you're launching your podcast, and you're working with Jordan on that podcast as you like talk about the world of YouTube editing. He talks about like his experience with music videos. What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that traditional editors make as they try to make content for YouTube and social media?
If a traditional editor comes onto the YouTube scene and they're trying to edit a YouTube story, there's a high chance they're going to start with an establishing shot.
Yeah.
Establishing shot, day. Okay, where am I? Whereas if you click on a YouTube video and it's an establishing shot, you're out.
Yeah.
Done.
Like a wide shot showing the scene.
Wide
right?
shot showing the scene. Whereas I think we have to think about different viewing habits on YouTube compared to viewing habits that we would have on cinema. Whereas I would say when cinema, you've paid to see the movie, you've sat down, you've also watched 30 minutes of ads, and so you're kind of waiting for the movie to start. It's part of the game. And then the establishing shot starts. Oh, great, brilliant, the movie starts.
Yeah.
Whereas on YouTube, you click on the video, establishing shot, what the fuck is this? It's you haven't, because of the context of everything, that establishing shot has not earned the right to be there. And so we click off.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking about this before. It's like hiring editors for specialties, like hiring an intro editor just to do that for 60 seconds, and then having a different editor work on the rest of the video, because you need to be a bit more fast-paced and have a skill set for that.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so interesting to see people specialize as the creator economy grows. And as you come into your own in your career, Hayden, I want to just show people the different ways that you make money. If we go roll in, we got a pie chart here and we got different markers, and I'm curious if you could draw in all the different ways that you make income.
And so what I have started doing is I've been working in consulting. And so for me, that's become a really, really interesting experience. And again, really emotionally satisfying as well, that I can help creators help discover themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I have to admit, it's kind of I've ended up becoming like an unofficial, unlicensed therapist a little bit. But for me, that's become, I would say, a good quarter amount of what I'm trying to do. That is actually a massive priority of me. So that's for me, yes, and there we go. So that for me has been consulting.
Perfect.
We just launched the podcast, and one of the best experiences we're getting from that is what I was expecting to get in a year, we got in the first week.
In terms of sponsorships?
In terms of sponsorships, as in like literally launched the first podcast, and we had the privilege of a scramble, and we then had privilege to choose what would be the best suited brand deal and working relationship. And so because of that, they were then able to finance what we wanted to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And so that actually then became also a massive chunk in our cases. And so actually that is, for us, that has helped finance.
What percent?
I would say this amount. What would you say that amount is?
So it's 5% each, so 15%. YouTube AdSense, what does that look like?
YouTube AdSense.
This is I'd say these are like the ads that play before on either your podcast channel or your personal channel.
Oh yeah, you're right. So then every time that then comes through once a month, I see that come into my bank account and say, hey Ashley, do you want to get Uber Eats tonight? And that's what I mean. It pays for a nice takeout dinner that evening.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just a nice little bonus.
Yeah. So is the rest of your pie chart money you make as an editor for other creators, and who are some of those other creators?
So you've said that exactly. So whereas for me, it's fun doing the consulting, it's fun doing the podcast, but for me, I still want to maintain the right to still be talking about editing. And so I need to make sure that I'm still in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And so I am still very much taking on as many jobs as I can, as long as they're reasonably balanced. And so despite, so me and Logan still working for 7 years, he still calls me when he needs me. In another case, I think I also have a good working relationship with MrBeast as well. And so when schedulings do line up, and it's like even next month, I'm going to go to North Carolina for a month and we're going to go straight into the thick of it in editing. My priority is still being an editor. And that is still my main source of income. And so literally for the rest of this, consulting is fun, brand deals is helping support it, YouTube ads is the nice Uber Eats, but everything that can help finance and support all of this is still me being an editor, still being in the trenches, still being in the thick of it. All of this, and all of this still counts towards all of that. I'm gonna put a whole big lovely circle. This, for me, is still the main source of income for me. And this still makes me a very, very happy creator, because my logic is this. I've always wanted to be a creator, but I can't buy a $5 million Pokemon card. So I'll edit Logan's video. I can't get all of my best friends, rent out SoFi Stadium and play a massive game of hide and seek.
Yeah.
MrBeast can do that, and so I want to work for him and make that video. And so for me, I'm not capable of doing that, but I still want to tell those stories. And that is my priority. How can I then, what footage is going to give me and what is the best story I can get out of it?
What's the next chapter of your life look like? I think we've seen chapter 1, you know, the editing for Logan Paul. I think we're seeing chapter 2, you coming and like having a voice as an editor and showing that, hey, editors are an important part of the creator economy. I'd say, you know, engineers are to Silicon Valley as editors are to the creator economy. What do you hope people like remember about editors and about Hayden Hillier-Smith moving forward?
The YouTube landscape that I look at today, I'm unsatisfied with, and I see the potential that it can be. And it is with editors who can use emotion, story, and rhythm. And so I want to be able to have that. I want to be able to have editors who really who truly do understand that concept, and then help improve YouTube as a landscape. And the reason why is because I do see the YouTube industry fully maturing into really what it can be. And I didn't look at the traditional space, which was where I initially was, and I always saw that people stuck their nose up. Now that I'm seeing that we are getting better, we can finally have those conversations, which is why I started a podcast where traditional editors can finally start having conversations with YouTube editors, and there's a respect and equality there.
Hayden, it's been so awesome just to see your career blossom. I think it's just the beginning, and more people are getting to get to know you and realize, hey, I watched a lot of videos where his editing style either influenced me or influenced an editor that they're going to hire as the creator economy becomes a bigger deal. So thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you so
This
much.
was a pleasure.
This is such a lovely conversation. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.